Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Gladius Relics of War. For those of you joining me for the first time ever, my name is Sabouts, and if you're returning to my channel for another series, I'd like to welcome you back. And we're returning to Gladius Relics of War because there's a big announcement. The new DLC with a brand new faction has finally come out, and that is the Chaos faction. And I'm pretty excited to play it. I always love coming to this game whenever a new faction comes out. The last one we did was the Tyranids when they came out as a faction for the Gladius Relics of War, so that was a lot of fun, and I've been looking forward to Chaos ever since it was announced. Now, if you're not familiar with Gladius Relics of War, it is a 4X game that takes place in the Warhammer 40k universe, and if you're not familiar with Warhammer 40k, then I won't get into details. That's something you're going to probably want to read on yourself because it's a massive... It's a huge universe filled with lots of lore and everything, and it just would take me a lot of time to get into it. But essentially just know that it's like a sci-fi kind of futuristic theme. But yeah, you'll be able to see all the stuff that we got anyways as we get into it. So let's go ahead and start a new game. Now I've already set up all of these settings over here, but I still have to set a lot of this up. It'll take me just 2 seconds, but while I'm going ahead and doing this, I'll explain the settings here and the ones that I've decided to go with and why I've decided to pick them. And that way you can see what we've got going on. So every single race is going to be in this game. It's going to be a free-for-all. We'll be versing each other. I've set the difficulty to hard. Now usually I would set it to impossible, and I've done this in my previous playthroughs and I've played it through. And for the first 2 playthroughs I actually didn't have that hard of a problem. I think in the first one I won, and in the second one I lost, and in the third one things got really bad. So they made a lot of changes to the impossible difficulty setting and made it very difficult, as it should be, but I mean it is literally impossible. I mean, it's not even like, this isn't even under exaggeration. As far as I'm concerned, you will not beat impossible. So I've decided, thanks to suggestions from you guys, to go with the hard setting. So that way I actually stand a chance, but there's still some difficulty there, so it's not like I'm just going to roll over everybody. So some level of difficulty, but I actually can get into the more deeper mechanics of the game and get to the more late game tech, so we can explore what the Chaos Space Marines faction has to offer. I've made some changes here. We're going to go with a medium world size. I usually like to go with small because I like to get into combat nice and early and have firefights break out. And in the late game, it's always a slog walking across the large map. So I usually try to stick with the smallest maps I can. But I decided to go with a medium one because there's so many factions in the game now that will actually fill the map out pretty nicely if it's medium. Small made sense back when it was only 4 factions or even 5, but now that we're up to 6, I think it definitely makes sense to bump it up to medium. But I did see it doesn't even recommend those 2. But what I did was I actually turned the landmass down to low. And the reason I did this is because I'm hoping that we'll get a little bit more choke points in the game, which will benefit us, but also provide an additional challenge when it goes to attack other people. So I'm hoping this will kind of create some interesting land to fight on instead of it just being one gigantic landmass blob. And game pace I've gone with very fast, and that's so we can advance to the late tech nice and quickly. And we can explore what the new faction has to offer, not draw it out too many episodes. In terms of advanced, I've kept everything the same. Here's my world seed here if you would like to play along when the DLC does drop. And the only thing I've changed here is the wildlife density. I put it to very high for a nice early game surprise. So everybody's going to be struggling to fight that wildlife early on. It just kind of creates a little bit of an added challenge and makes it harder for the AI, but also it's going to make it harder for us as well to expand out and actually get a foothold. For people who build other cities, that's going to be a problem. For people like the Space Marines, they probably won't have as much of a problem. Necrons probably will struggle a little bit with it. Astral Militarian probably won't. They usually can spam pretty good. Not sure about the Tyranids. We'll have to see. I've never played against the Tyranids. I've only played as them. So this will be definitely interesting to see how they've improved over since the DLC released, because when it first released, Tyranids never really had a good counter to things like mechanized guards, so we'll see now how they hold up. Alright, let's go ahead and get into it.
10,000 years we have fought. At Luna, at Terra, at Cadia. Beside the false Emperor. Beside the War Master. Beside the Despoiler. 10,000 years, we have been faithful to the Dark Gods, sacrificing our souls, bodies, and machines to them. Yet, the Imperium stands. Now, Cadia has fallen. The Dark Gods have guided us to this Imperial Hive world. Gladius, whatever is here, we will prove ourselves worthy of it, and take it in their name! Glory to the Dark Gods! Death to the false Emperor!
Alright, here we go. So we're in the game already. I've got mixed feelings about the starting area. I did not start in a corner like I was hoping so that I could build some type of defense. It looks like I'm going to be in the middle, and chances are I'm going to be pinched between two different factions. So, yeah, not a good starting area. Normally, I would probably re-roll this if I was playing by myself, but since I'm not, and I'm playing with you guys, I will not re-roll it. I will refrain from doing that. So you start out as Chaos with 4 Chaos Cultists, which is a little different compared to other factions, which usually might start out with some, like a troop or two, and start out with a city building unit. All of our cultists can actually find cities, and I think this is interesting because as far as I can tell, let's see, each city after the first decreases loyalty in all cities by 6. So you could actually find like 2 cities in the beginning of the game and maybe give yourself an early boost. I haven't tested this to see if it would actually work really well. It does say that each city after the first decreases loyalty in all cities by 6. So I'm going to say that would probably be a bad idea until you offset that loyalty a bit with something. So probably not that great. But it's just interesting to think that you have the option, and I don't know if it could actually be played out better. There's some influence here which we can use. It looks like we've got ore, foods. This isn't bad. In my test run, I actually started out in a really bad area where there was no food. And it was really hard for me to branch out and build. But it looks like in this one, it's not going to be that bad of a problem. There's actually a grasslands here with the Necron Tomb as well. And it's got 30% food. So I'm going to say that building in an area probably right off the water here is our best bet. This is probably the perfect spot, so we're just going to drop him right here. Only I can't, let's see, I can only acquire the tiles around here, so maybe better to be a little in. So why don't we go ahead and move this guy out. Ooh, although this kind of changes my perspective instantly, because I see there's water, there's shoreline here. So if I was to build down here, there might be a defensible choke point along here. I don't see any ruins that we can use for cover, but there is ridges here which we could shoot down from. Yeah, this might work. The only thing to check would be food around here. Another 30% there. Yeah, I like this. This is probably a pretty good spot. If I actually build it here, there's a very good balance of food and ore. Yeah, there's a good balance here too. Yep, that's the spot right there. So we're going to set it up. So we won't have our city this turn, but we'll definitely have it next turn. We'll just advance out a little bit further if there's anything else. Okay, we've got some wildlife. Alright, so water here, and it looks like the water might... There's some here, so we might have a... This might not be a bad starting position after all. I may be able to make it work. Alright, we'll have to select our research once we get our city down. So we don't want to wait too long. We do have some enemies here. Let's get the city down and be done with it. Perfect. Castel Gore. And we've got decent production here. Plus 5 loyalty. And the nice part is we'll be able to attack this next turn. And that'll help us out. But let's definitely start clearing these this wildlife out before it overwhelms us. Because the wildlife can get kind of tricky. Alright, we can build one thing right in this spot. It did have plus 20 food here, so we'll probably go ahead and drop something for food. And then we're going to acquire a tile. So food, and then we're going to want to expand into probably research. I see we've got plus 10 research here. Right here, some food, some research, and some ore. So that's going to be a really good spot to pick up early on. So let's definitely get that tile next. And a good building tile would actually be this one or this one. That'd be pretty good for building units. Actually, we'll go for that one first, and we'll get our barracks down, then we can go for that one. Alright, we're going to want to capture this for the influence, but I can have this guy do it after we do a little cleaning up. Now we got some food here as well. Okay, it was about a 50-50 battle there. We'll start expanding out this way a bit. Now, something interesting about these guys is they can be consumed for population growth. You get plus 2 growth if you do consume them. We're currently going to grow in 2 turns, and we are going to need population, but I think we're going to be okay. We'll see where that goes. All right, so obviously all new tech tree with the Chaos faction all the way down here. I haven't looked at all of these. When I did my test run, I only made it up to like tier 3. And then I just stopped so that way I could kind of explore some of these later ones with you guys here. I see Daemon Prince. That's definitely something I know I'm going to want to go for. Oh, the Defiler. He is all the way down here. Boy, Defiler I feel like is more of an early game tech than a late game. I know in the Warhammer 40k tabletop game, the Defiler was always a pretty cheap unit to field. To have him all the way down there is kind of interesting. Master of Possession, a Psyker hero unit that summons daemons and support allies. I never got to him, but I bet he'd be pretty good. Alright, so there's a couple of really good techs down here in tier 1. We got this infantry here. It produces infantry as well as, or I'm sorry, this research, which makes a building that produces infantry as well as generates food and research. That's actually pretty good because you get the food and research bonus, but it's most important because it's the only way you're going to get Chaos Space Marines on the field. So I feel like that's like a first to take. There is Bloated, which if you grants champions of Chaos the chance to restore their hit points when killing an enemy, which is kind of cool and could be handy. Chaos Spawns, which lets you build Chaos Spawns, which are fast melee infantry, and they mutate each turn. I didn't get a chance to check them out. Infernal Fabricator, building that produces ground vehicles, as well as generates ore and influence. You got the Lord's Quarters, building that produces heroes, as well as generates influence and increases loyalty. The Rites of Change, sacrifice population to Zinch, I always butcher this. Zinch or whatever, to increase the production output of warp forges and research output of archives of the ways in the city. So we're going to go for this first. I think we're going to want to get infantry early on just because of the high amount of, yeah, see, because of this. We're just going to get stupid amounts of wildlife, and we really need to deal with it. Ooh, I was hoping that we would not lose somebody this early on. I think I'm going to have to recall this guy. Ah, and he got away from us too. Alright, so here's the quest line as well. I do have the quest line turned on. If it's your first time seeing this game, each faction has a quest line. And if you actually complete it, I've never completed one before, but usually it results in some type of really hard last quest. And if you complete it, you actually can win the game. So usually when I play on harder difficulty settings, I do try to go for the quests because beating my enemy is not always an option. And so the quests, I feel, are a way for me to potentially win the game without having to actually fight everybody. And I can play more on the defense. It also gives you rewards. This one in particular is going to give us chaos spawns. So it's worth doing for those rewards. They could be anything from bonus units to bonus tech, resources, and stuff like that. This one wants us to construct a cult of chaos, then produce some chaos cultists, and then research bloated. So we can definitely get to that. Alright, let's recall these guys. We're going to have some fighting going on here. And I don't want to lose any more units. It's going to be a bit before we can actually... We're going to build a cult of chaos, but it'll be a bit before we can... Oh, before we can build anything else. Wow, I can shoot pretty far. Nice. It actually has 2 weapons then. It does. It's got a combi bolter, and then it's got a battle cannon, which has significantly larger range. Nice. Alright, so we've chased them off. Now we got to deal with these guys. They've already leveled up. We might lose some factions here early on because of The wildlife, the AI always does seem to struggle with the wildlife, and you know what? That's perfectly fine, I think. I don't mind that. They have a higher initiative, which is why they seem to attack first. I believe it's initiative, if I remember. I don't even remember. These guys are a champion of chaos. Killing enemy unit may reward this unit with a permanent boon of chaos or transform it into a chaos spawn or daemon prince. I love it. And the game has achievements now as well, which I don't think it had before, if I remember. I didn't realize these guys could clear tile too. Not really useful for us. Alright, so our first wildlife down there, and we actually got ourselves some experience out of it, which is nice, and we researched the infantry building here. So we'll be able to deal with that. Let's see, so we finally got that down, and I thought we built a thing for food. Ah, we did. It's right there. So a renderer. So now we can go ahead and build a, let's see, we're going to want this here, which gives us production, food, and research. This tile is gives us a bonus to food. Actually, it'd probably be better for me to build that in a tile that gives us a bonus to food and research. But it might not matter either. Let's go ahead and drop it. We're gonna need it. It's that's for sure. Got to get some more troops built. All right, so I'm liking this layout. Let's move. Ooh, yikes! Yikes! Okay, I was hoping we'd at least be able to kill some wildlife there. And for research, I'm gonna go for bloated next, because if we can heal our troops by killing enemy troops, that'll be perfect. Okay, I'm gonna fall these guys back and heal them. We're not going to risk losing any more troops if we can help it. Ah, Chaos Cultists. Interesting. So we've got Chaos Cultists that are just wildlife on the map, actually. 2 groups of them, too. Not really sure what that's all about. Alright, if we put him here, set him to heal, then he'll be all set. One more turn. Okay, that's fine. And we've got bloated. These guys had some bonus they activated. Infiltrate. Prevents the unit from being a target of Overwatch attacks. Huh. But why can I not kill him with this? Don't have any movement. Well, either way, we can now produce Chaos Space Marines, so let's go ahead and get a group of those built, because that'll be a lifesaver for sure. And I'm going to finish these guys off for the experience, and because I don't want them to get away. Nice. Alright, so you guys will have to heal next turn. And we're building that, and we're definitely going to want to keep constructing some other stuff here as well. I see that we're not producing energy anymore, so we're going to want to get some. That's the only tile that gives us an energy bonus, so let's go ahead and acquire that tile. And then we'll go for... Now we can go up to tier 2 because we've researched 2 of these. Alright, captive pens we're going to need eventually. We've got 3 out of 6. 3 out of 6 population. We're about to grow another one, so we're going to grow pretty quickly. I think we can go. We can wait. Let's see, 4 turns. Well, we better get that now. We could probably wait one more turn or one more tech, but yeah, we better get it because then we got to get it built too. All right. All right, I want to capture this if I can. How? 2 more turns till we have some Chaos Space Marines. Let's get some energy built. And we could do food or ore here. Probably ore would be best. We're going to need it at some point when we go to build vehicles. Alright. think these guys are protecting something up here. They seem to be hanging out in the same area. Okay. Luckily, this actually gives us a defensive bonus sitting on here. Outpost, plus 70% city damage reduction, plus 50% healing rate, 70% ranged damage reduction. So that's pretty nice. We'll actually tell them to hold that position. And we'll wait till these guys are healed up, and then we'll move up to help them out, as well as the Chaos Space Marines when they come out here. There's our Chaos Space Marines, so we're going to go up right now and start lending a hand. Pretty cool looking units, actually. I like them. They look like just regular Black Crusade Chaos Space Marines, or I'm trying to think which ones. They're definitely just like standard Chaos Space Marines. Champions of Chaos. I don't see any special abilities, so I'm sure we can get some. These guys seem to be almost healed as well. Let's definitely get another one going. We've got the food to support it and the resources to build it. We'll get this ore here, and then I think we're going to want to get some more food for sure. Okay, this is getting a little out of control up here. I may have to fall back. We've got the captive pens now, which I do have to build. So maybe don't build that. Build the captive pens. Now we'll have to acquire another tile. This will be a good one down here to take. I don't know if that's a good idea. I kind of want to wait for the Chaos Space Marines to get up here before I make any super risky moves. Ah, yes, what I was kind of worried about. Well, have these guys hold their position because they might absorb some damage. Frag grenades will probably help us out. That's usually, let's see, requires Lord's Quarters or Abominator's Gen Labs. Okay, so some of these you can't get unless you have certain buildings, which makes sense. I'm going to get the frag grenades because that's actually always been pretty tried and true to clearing out wildlife in the early game. And later on, they're very effective against like things like Astra Militarum. Perfect. Alright, got those guys cleared out. Everybody got some experience. These guys actually went up to level 2. Alright, I'd like to get these guys on here and healing, so I guess I'll move these guys up, see what we've got. Yikes. See if the Space Marines and them can't handle that. Alright, so we'll have to go ahead and leave it off here since we're out of time anyways. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing this one. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, especially with all the factions out here, having it be a free-for-all, and what I've set up for the map. I think it's going to make a pretty unique playthrough, and I think that going down the research tree here is going to be some really, really cool stuff to check out for the Chaos faction, so I'm definitely excited for it. So if this is something that you've enjoyed, please don't forget to leave a like. Lets me know that you guys want to see videos similar to this, that you've enjoyed the content. Also, if it's your first time at my channel, consider hitting the subscribe button and becoming a member of the community. It really helps me out a lot, but it also helps you guys out because you get notified when new videos drop, so you'll be able to keep up with series like this and other ones. With that being said, I want to thank you all for joining me. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Look forward to seeing you next time.